We have a quorum.
Yeah.
Nope. Weddings are on the course.
More or less. 5 minutes away.
You're gonna plan
So
on
did you
saying-
dance at all?
Nah,
Thank you for your help.
I wouldn't take off
Better be getting a thank you from my daughter.
February.
I'm glad to do it.
Well, and I went mountain biking yesterday at Blue Marsh,
Really
and I was in
exceeded
shorts
their,
and a tank
uh,
top 2 miles in, I'm like, this is really weird.
Well, I did take the dogs for a walk where I normally don't go on
Yeah.
the Neversink Trail. And I turned around, there's just too many people.
Oh, yeah, everywhere, I was coated, like, it was in my hair, I mean, just the whole back of me
Really?
was like just a line of mud.
Yeah.
Okay, noon. We can start without Dave for now. Let's call the Infrastructure Committee meeting to order. I guess we do a roll call.
Steve Brunner,
Here.
Keith Durr will be absent, Bill Jenks,
Here.
Fred Mogul,
Here.
Dave Reeser will be late.
Okay. Moving on, do we have any public comment that would be subject to this committee meeting?
Quick question on item 7, televising project. Are those videos recorded and are they available under right to know? And if not, why not?
I assume they'd be available. I don't know what interest you have, but yeah, you could look at them if you like.
I was just, so we do record the video, right?
Oh, yeah, that's what we pay for. yeah.
Right, I understand. Okay. Thank you.
Hearing or seeing no other public comment, we'll move on. We want to relocate number 4 till he comes back.
Unless, Chris, do you?
You want to give the update, Chris?
Dave would have the most up-to-date information, so it'd be better if he did.
All right, we'll put that towards the end of the meeting. And we'll go to the zoning and codes report.
I don't really have any updates for you other than, February 16th, the zoning hearing was held last week for 840 Penn Avenue for the Reading Orthodontic Group. The special exception request was granted. The codes report is pretty self-explanatory. Mr. Jadik, are you okay with me sharing our conversation last week?
Yeah, you signed the contract today.
So Mr. Jadik does have a signed contract for the repairs to his property. So I expect progress on that in the near future when the weather breaks and materials coming in. Otherwise, I just like to point out there were a lot of compliance achieved additions to the list this month. Glenn, Joe, I don't know if you have anything either one of you want to add.
Not unless there's any questions.
Does anybody have any questions on any specific issue? How long does it take to when someone gets cited to, it goes to our DJ, does it take to be heard?
Depends. I mean, first there's a process, they have to send out the summons, so to speak, to the defendant by typically certified mail and wait for that to come back. If no plea is entered by the defendant within a certain time frame, it's typically assumed guilty. But there's 2 on here that the citations were filed like back in October that neither defendant has responded to the plea. No further action's been taken by the court. I believe at a certain period of time, they eventually issue a bench warrant.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. They'll try to serve them.
So this has been since October, we're not getting to the bench warrant phase.
I know that takes, I believe, months.
Yeah. In some of our other municipalities with other district justices, it can go on up to like 9, 10 months, sometimes a year. So,
Hindering progress.
unfortunately. And it depends how busy they are too. This stuff is low priority for them.
Unless you're a neighbor.
Yeah,
Well, your favorite property on Reading Boulevard, they've had a pile of twigs and branches stacked up for the past, 3 weeks.
1743.
Uh-huh.
Glenn, can you ask Jeff to take a look at 1743 Reading, please?
yeah, you got that.
Thank
Is
you.
that the one next to,
The Schmelz.
Yeah,
the castle?
yeah.
The one up the hill. Can't think of his name right now, so,
From,
From-
yeah, thanks. Well, if we're gonna talk about things, how long is the Inn at Reading gonna be allowed to have a sign that's in total disrepair on the highway?
Jeff's note, I mean, they have an open building permit. Jeff's note says he's gonna schedule a follow-up inspection before the end of this month.
Yeah, he's supposed to be back there, I think, next week.
I mean, that's over a year.
Can we ask them for a contract showing that they're moving forward?
I would assume they have one since, hold on a second.
Yeah, I can double check into that. They have been making progress with cleaning up inside, the rooms and whatnot, and actually, their clientele has been improving somewhat,
No kidding.
so.
I can tell you, I was over there with the fire department last week for what came in as a cardiac arrest, and we're pretty sure it was an overdose.
Yeah, but that's not, I mean, there's wires hanging there and
I know,
it's hideous when you see it from the bypass.
yeah, it irritates me every time I drive past there.
Yeah. I'm reminded every time, because I told my wife a year ago we're on them. She's like, we're still doing it. There's no sign. We have a taxpayer who gets mad at me all the time.
I was trying to find for you the company that has the sign.
Listen, we don't have to occupy our time with this. Just,
We'll follow up on that, make a note of that, Joe. And, at next month, we'll make sure we have, some kind of resolution there as to whether they're, who they've hired and when what their schedule is. And if they don't
yeah, I know.
have one, then, we're gonna do something.
They should be coming up soon on, I want to say April. It'll be 6 months at that building permit since it was issued.
Yeah, so then it's gonna be null and void.
Anybody else have any specific questions or comments? All right, moving on to water. Jim?
We did have, 2 water main breaks, which is unusual for us in the last month or so. One right down here on, South Park Road, in front of, Bill Murray's old residence there. And, that was ours, and then there was a private one at the Belco Credit Union, that was behind the curve. That was a relatively small one, we had been looking for it for a month and could not, find it, but, finally did. The water main replacement project, is getting close to being done. I think that'll go out to bid sometime in March. The Rawa backup water supply, I don't know if Dave or you would have any information on this, Chris, or not, but, we have a backup water supply from the city that comes across the Route 12 bridge there from Reading, up towards the Inn at Reading there. And, that pipe, has something wrong with it, and it's inoperable. So if we were to have some sort of major emergency, I don't know how much of the borough we could keep in water, without that supply. We do have some other backup capabilities, but, I don't know if it's enough for the whole borough. We're meeting, I guess, Thursday to discuss that a little bit. Rawa, Western Berks.
Is it a valve issue?
No, I think it's more like a hole, the pipe hangs underneath the bridge, and usually in the winter, they would dewater it, so it wouldn't freeze, but, apparently whatever's leaking is leaking too much that they don't trust it to put in operation, if we need it.
Do we have, remind me, I apologize, probably said this 100 times in the last 6 years. Do we have a backup plan with Pennsylvania American Water?
We have one interconnection with them, that can only supply Greenwood Mall, and maybe half of the commercial area, just because of pressure, water pressure reasons. And it's a small interconnection. But we have one interconnection with them and two with the city of Reading. That's our backup water. And one of those cities.
So one of the two from the city is not working.
Correct.
One is, and somewhat of one for PA American. Water.
Correct.
It sounds like something we should probably be digging into pretty deeply, no pun intended.
Yeah, it's concerning on those, on that 1 in 100 chances that something were to happen, you know.
And for my knowledge, just to fix all the CTE I have, what's the backup plan for the hills that they have Pennsylvania American Water? Are they the same, are we their backup plan?
They have never asked us, the borough, for backup water. I believe there's an agreement with Western Berks. They must have, and I don't know where, some interconnection in Spring Township off of the Western Berks line to the Pennsylvania American line. I don't know that much about it, but I think there's an interconnection right from Western Berks to them, nothing to do with the borough.
Yeah, there is one, I believe there is one interconnect. We had talked about
Been feuding
establishing
over
a
that.
formal agreement with them, and I don't remember where that stands, if we got that in place or not. We talked about that a couple years ago.
I believe there was some money issue, like a standby fee that
Yeah.
one of the two parties didn't appreciate.
I'm guessing it was us. All right, I just like to make sure we have a backup plan for the entire borough.
Can I just ask Chris?
Believe me, Steve, I love backup too, and that's why this is on there. It's a little nervy
Little
to
concerning.
not have it, yeah.
Shouldn't there be an agreement with all those backup plans?
It would be prudent to have those agreements in place so that they can be enforced if the need arises.
Yeah.
And I think there is, I could forward it.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
they're not, I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Maybe something that we should look at or maybe update or,
but it's more of a Rawa Western Berks agreement than it is with the individual boroughs, just because of the way we're set up, where,
NPA American Water,
yeah.
yeah.
but there's certainly a
You know, our hills,
third
people
party
in the hills need to have
beneficiaries
a
of that
backup plan too.
agreement.
And the area that's leaking, is that section where the leak is occurring, is that a borough piece or is it a Rawa?
No, it's a Rawa piece.
So is Rawa working on it to?
That's what we're gonna, I don't know all the details, we're gonna meet Thursday, so I can understand a little more, and I think they wanna understand our system, so we know how urgent it is, it's pretty urgent.
Yeah.
It's not urgent until it is, and then it's really, really urgent.
That's all for water.
Sanitary sewer?
Sewer, the bids, I believe, went out last week. Typical cleaning and TVing certain drainage basins, and some repairs based on last year's work. The pump station, McCarthy's still working on that. We're hoping to get some sort of document together by fall so we can bid it late fall, late fall, so we can get built as soon as possible in 2023. We've been using $500,000 as the working number for the last 2 years as we've discussed this, but already I can see that's gonna be a low number. It's gonna be more than $500,000, I would assume at this point.
Jim, if memory serves me correctly, are we using the backup pump, but you always keep one on reserve? And-
The pump station has 2 pumps in it. They just rotate back and forth each time they cycle. We have one on the shelf, that if we had a failure, we have one replacement pump. And we're waiting for another one, that's on order.
Okay, but we at least have one standby.
We do,
If something happens.
we do.
I see that, the hell's that road called? Woodward Road has started today, right?
Yes, I have that on here somewhere.
It's coming later, I thought it was something.
Where's that located, that pump station in Berkshire?
Where the shops at Wyomissing Shopping Center's at, you can't see it, it's kinda down in a hole.
Like on the border and elevation marker.
You ought to go visit that sometime.
Yeah, there's like a
Give you a
big
true
retaining
feeling
wall.
for what that looks like.
Right, it's at the base of that retaining wall.
It's
You
at the
should
base
go
of that
see it,
retaining wall.
then you really wouldn't be able to imagine. You won't be able to get out of your head.
That Spring Township Interceptor, I really don't have much news. I see their survey crews have been out for the last couple of weeks. Steve, I know you want letters to go out, but there'll be a few houses that may have some
They have.
construction near them, but most of it's through public property for the most part.
Yeah, the easement between properties that is owned by the suites and the.
Right, that's really the only area, but
They should just be
it's like
notified.
pulling teeth, you know, getting information from NTech, their engineer, and Spring Township. My concern there too is, as we talk number 8 about the street work, if they're gonna do something,
Yeah.
we have to get that done before the street work.
Okay.
And yes, SLOP did start out there today. Hopefully, our estimate is a 3-day event. It's nerve-wracking to me. I'm a worrywart, and there's a lot of utilities in the way. They're gonna cross 3 water lines, electric line, gas line, so SLOP has a pretty good crew out there. I have faith in it, but
If we got to the.
they're not
week-
digging through a cornfield.
If we got to the weekend by some bad hop, would we get to the point where we could at least put plates over it that people? could
They're gonna
see?
plate it every night. It's gonna be,
Okay, so
they're
it's
gonna
gonna be
work on it
plated.
during the day, plate it at night, yes.
Okay.
50/50 sidewalk program, application March through April. I guess, Melissa, we should probably put something on the website about that. We already have 15 applications and we didn't even advertise it, so.
There's many more that could use it. The more I walk, sure as hell can't call it a jog, so the more I walk, yeah, there's more that could use it, that's for sure.
Then admin for starters.
Yeah.
Problem there is a lot of the properties don't qualify because they're either tenant occupied or commercial.
It's a shame.
But that's something through one of the federal grant programs that's coming out. I've been talking to West Riding about doing a joint application effectively for streetscapes, so sidewalk, streetlights, that we could do at least start with 1,200 block 10 and the 800 block 10.
It's bad.
Some of the residential ones that we have that are blatant, I mean, would we send friendly letters to those people and say, you really need to consider this program?
We could start, I mean, because of the program getting kicked back for 1 year because of COVID and us skipping that year, I mean, effectively, this is now the 6th year that when we started doing this, the agreement was, we'll give people 5 years to apply, get the work done. On the other side of that 5th year, we're gonna start enforcing the streets and sidewalk ordinance and forcing people to do it. So, I mean, if you wanna start with a friendly letter this year and then next year actually send the not so friendly letter, we can do that.
I think I got a friendly letter once.
It wouldn't hurt, I don't think.
I think it's a
These,
I think it's
you know,
great.
at least we're giving people a
Great
chance
idea.
under this program. I mean, personally, I would like to see, and we'll propose for next year budget, is that we keep this program going. You know, but, you know, at least give a friendly reminder to these people that, you know, sooner or later, you're gonna have to do this, so why delay it now?
And if we could look into ways to amend the 50/50, like, maybe we start going around finding the houses that are clearly in violation, and then say, this 50/50 thing may or may not exist a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And it may, but in 2 years, if we gotten past that point where we originally put this in 2 years, you will be getting it done, and you will pay the price for it.
Kind of like curb notices.
Yeah, it's coming, so you might as well start thinking about the 50/50 contract now.
Do you have some kind of a list of all the bad ones.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I would say that just as Jeff or whomever is out doing inspections, if they see a sidewalk at a property that's lifted, cracked, in poor condition,
Make a note.
yep,
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Well, that's,
I know there's one on Park Road,
We
in
can
front of the
start
house,
watching
it's
for
almost
that.
like a V, you know?
we'll start watching for that. Do you have a letter that you use?
no, cause we've never
No, but I
enforced.
think, because
I
we.
mean, I
we-
can send you
This
language.
50/50 program is supposed to end, we extended it a year. I don't think there's any, I don't wanna speak for other council members, but I don't think there's a whole lot of council members who wanna get rid of it yet. But if you just say it's gonna go indefinitely, people are gonna let their sidewalk go indefinitely.
Yeah,
So if we start maybe putting some teeth to the 50/50 sidewalk program where you're now on notice, we still have this, we have it this year, maybe we have it next year, maybe we don't. But you might wanna consider the 50/50 program, cause in 2 years, we're coming down on you.
Yeah, I can get you.
Or some
language,
number,
Glenn.
3 years, whatever the number is.
okay, that's fine. However you wanna handle it, just.
With regard to the commercial properties, I think it makes sense to treat them differently than residential properties. However, you could have a different kind of program for those commercial properties, maybe at 25% instead of 50%,
So
something.
see if we get any federal funding for it, or funding for it first. And how we're allowed to use it. But yeah, it's a good idea.
I agree with that.
Because I don't walk Penn Avenue just because the last time I walked Penn Avenue, I didn't wanna walk it ever again. That make sense?
Yes. I usually stay off of it.
Okay. Moving on, street improvements. And the finance director, the head of the finance is not even here to hear this.
Well, it's generally good news. So we did have a bid opening, we had 2 bidders. H&K is the low bidder who did the street work for us last year at $1,146,061. The budget number is $1,455,500. So it is under budget.
That's good news.
300,000 under budget.
You never know till the end game with unforeseens, but yeah.
It's good news. Bad news, what'd you say the budget was?
$1,455,000.
So we were off budget by 20%. You know, too bad you don't know that ahead of time, because we could have budgeted another $300,000 worth of fixes to the streets.
Well,
But I know that's what you're gonna bring up next, just in case we want to spend it.
If the committee would like to spend some more money, there's probably worse streets, but at this point in the game, it has to be streets with no curbs involved, because it's too late to give somebody curb notice to say, hey, in 3 months, and we try to give them closer to a year. There are 2 streets that we could do that don't require any curb work, and that is Spring Street from State Hill Road up to the old Cop Beverage, up to North Wyomissing Boulevard. This was a cost estimate from Jim's office back in 2020, so it's 2 years old. But that was $144,000 at that time. The other one is still over in Berkshire Heights, North Wyomissing Boulevard from 6th to 7th Street, and that one's $115,000 estimated.
66.
Right near the elementary school.
Yeah. It's plain as day, if you drive that road,
Former elementary school.
you'll see where
At the
we,
turn up top.
you'll see where we paved and then where it stopped, you know. So those are 2 options. I don't think, we don't need an answer today, but, those are options if we'd like to pursue it.
Well, we should talk to Keith and his committee,
Move that on the finance agenda.
put on the finance.
I'll make a motion to
There are
approve.
some escalating clauses for cost of materials, aren't there?
There's the asphalt index,
Yeah.
depending on when you bid it and what the cost of the asphalt is when you install it.
So that would be a concern I would have, that there could be some
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
escalation.
What's going
Especially
on?
with what's going on
Yeah,
overseas.
didn't even think about that, yeah.
And you talked about one of them from State Hill Road, Spring Street, State Hill Road up to Cott.
I would call it
Beverage.
Top Beverage, the
Right.
soda plant
I
there.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Isn't also that where PennDOT just said we're gonna eliminate that road?
Possibly
They're not gonna eliminate the road, but they're going to
cut into it.
cut
significantly.
into it for rotary or whatever. Yeah.
So I
We
like
could surely
I like
stop
the
short-
idea of paving another street,
I mean,
don't
we
be
could
wrong.
stop short of that intersection by 100 feet too, you know, it's not a long road, but,
I can't picture what the plan said, I just know that,
Yeah.
I thought they were cutting through those hills to get you to the,
I don't think they were
Other
changing the
intersection.
layout of Spring.
No, they're just making it a one-way right, or you can only turn
Might be
right
right,
coming
though.
out.
Yeah,
I mean, they
I thought
would-
there was a
they
big
would-
circle that were
yeah,
cutting across the,
They would,
Terrain.
Granite Point.
yeah,
yeah.
they'd have to.
Proposed roundabout there.
Oh, there's a roundabout at
There's-
Granite Point.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Copy,
So
sorry.
the other piece to that is
For
both of those roads are heavily truck traffic roads, especially now that we removed the truck restriction on North Wyomissing Boulevard, so.
Yeah.
We could just stop it, as you said, where their construction project's gonna end. You know,
Right.
with the current PennDOT plans, I think you have an idea about
Right.
where their project's gonna end.
Listen, it's a budgeted number, I'm on the other side of the fence now, this is kinda fun.
Spending.
Our roads need it, you know, our roads need it, but, you know, we have to do it through them, I would think, so. But yeah, if we're gonna potentially have it dug up by PennDOT, let's not go where they're gonna dig it up.
But I guess in the end, we do need a recommendation. Oh, one other
Yeah.
thing too I wanted to say, speaking of concrete and sidewalks and curbs, the curb number, and there's a lot of curb, Garfield Avenue, Reading Boulevard, straight curb is $101 a foot. If there's a tree plate involved, it could be 125, give or take. So, somebody has 10 feet of curb they gotta replace, it's $11,000.
Wasn't it just like $70 last
Yeah,
year?
well, it vary. I usually think of it as $80 as kind of a median price, but it's 100 now.
Get the letters out to them, tell them this is coming, and
They've already got 2 warning letters. The next letter, after we award this, will say this is gonna be a cost.
this isn't a
That's the
warning,
next
this is a
letter,
fact.
So that's something else to keep in mind with those numbers. I think Jim McCarthy said there's about $80,000 in curb work in here that we will be eventually reimbursed for. So that number, 309, goes up to almost 400,000.
Alright, so we need a recommendation to accept the bids for H&K, who was the low bidder, with a base price of $1,146,061.46. Anybody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Hearing, anybody want to second it?
I have to abstain.
Okay, I'll second it. Fair. All those, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
He's no by abstention.
One abstention. Motion passed, I think. Did it just pass?
I don't know, Chris, how does that work when there's only 3 of them here and 1 abstains?
Well, what is our,
Quorum would be 3.
Still passed.
Should we wait till Dave comes back to make the motions?
yeah, I think for this one, I'd like to have a quorum, a majority of the quorum, so.
Okay. So, we'll rescind that, and I'll do it later. Got it. Alright, moving on then, bike sharing station?
Just an update that after council awarded the contract for the bike share stations to Tandem at the February meeting, I had a follow-up call with them. I will be going to West Reading's traffic meeting in March to discuss and finalize the location of where their bike share station is gonna go, and then anticipated launch date for the stations will be somewhere between April 1st and May 1st.
Okay. Interesting enough, I was up at Penn State this weekend and saw their bike sharing station, and other than Hell's Angels, it's pretty cool. You got people going like 100 miles an hour to get to class, but, or to get to the bar, one of the two, I don't know.
Oh boy.
Alright, all good, I think it's a great idea. Alright, kicking forward, the Cambridge Avenue stream work.
No update, that's just gonna stay on there until it actually happens.
Good. Sorry, I'm trying to see what it said last. Pedestrian bridge.
Same thing, no update, it's gonna stay on there until it happens.
Okay. Verizon, the Verizon WCF solicitor review.
Yeah, all the regulations are up to date now, but this should stay on the agenda because we're still working on a lease agreement with Verizon for them to put some installations in the public right.
Okay. Green Light Go program 2018.
2018 and 2019 are effectively the same. There is a resolution that needs to be adopted according to PennDOT to authorize me as the acting borough manager to execute and submit documents to PennDOT. So the only real update at this time is some type of recommendation to council to adopt that resolution at the March meeting.
Okay, we can't do that right now, so we'll have to come back to that. Park Road Bridge,
Well, we can vote on anything that
Fred,
Fred doesn't have to abstain.
oh, that's right, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
It was,
That's a
because of
good
H and
point.
K.
Got it, understood. All right, then, anybody wanna make that motion?
Also moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll pass it on to the big girl. And that was 18 and 19, correct?
Correct.
Park Road Bridge,
Same thing, no update, just keeping it on the agenda until PennDOT completes the work.
and we don't have a date yet, they're just doing it whenever it gets warm enough, right?
They said as their scheduled permits.
Anything new to the Cheltenham stormwater concerns?
I met Larry out there, we have the same thoughts, it's just a difficult fix, so he has my word that we'll address it in some fashion that will help him sometime in 2022.
I saw him last week at a zoning hearing, and he expressed his great pleasure at your meeting, Jim, and your willingness to work with him.
Try my best.
So he's the house right across the street from whatever that Paul is or something like that.
Just to, if you're looking at the building, just to the left of it.
That's what I thought. Library HVAC, we don't have anything really to do on that, do we?
Nick just gave me some info, the contractor has the equipment.
It is ordered, it's expected in around end of March, and then construction will begin.
Sale of borough salt to WBWA and the Wyomissing Area School District.
So Jim brought it to my attention, there have been occurrences in the past where Western Berks Water Authority and the Wyomissing Area School District, both of which are nonprofits, we sell salt to them because they do not have the ability to stockpile salt. I guess just where their locations are, there's nowhere they can effectively store it. So when they're in a pinch, they'll come to us and we will sell them salt that we've purchased through our state cooperative purchasing agreement. Just to keep things clean moving forward, I thought it would be best if we get it on the record and in meeting minutes that Jim has the authority to do that.
And I assume we're selling to them at our cost, not trying to make money.
Correct.
Okay. And I'll go ahead and make, because we're helping our own taxpayers out, I'll make the recommendation that the Public Works Director at his discretion can sell salt to the Western Berks Water Authority and Wyomissing Area School District.
At our cost.
At our cost, thank you.
Second.
Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion pass. Let's go ahead and clean it up. Old business already? We gotta start the land for Dave again.
And then the other option is you could table a recommendation and just have council approve the contract.
Okay, you know, we are just a recommending body. I mean, we could just have something in our minutes that you can then report on at the council meeting that said that, all the voting members who were present were in favor of awarding contract. And, council has the deciding authority. So, I mean, I think we could just indicate the discussion in the minutes, and that, again, all the members present who were able to vote, were in favor of awarding the contract. And then we can move on and not wait for David. Is that agreeable to everyone?
Works for me.
Okay, so we're just gonna put in the minutes that all infrastructure committee members who were present, who didn't have a conflict, were in favor of accepting H&K's bid of $1,146,061.46. So we don't have to vote on that. Okay, is there any? Is there any old business? Hearing none, is there any new business? Boy, I feel like I'm failing our citizens miserably getting this meeting over in 37 minutes.
This is a record
It'll change this summer.
for infrastructure.
37 minutes, I've never, in 6 years, I've never seen an infrastructure meeting like that. Did I forget something?
No.
I invite Tom Josh.
Well, we're gonna send Tom Boucher. Can you send Tom Boucher the film, Mr. J?
Yeah.
Tell him it's only
No
37
problem.
minutes. We lost all those days of our lives back then. All right, hearing no new business. Anybody want to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
Gonna charge a fee for that.
Wow.
Editing and distribution.
Right,
Sorry,
exactly.
what is the
Copyright.
AV stuff? Am I allowed to
I
ask?
ordered it January 4th.
And Statics hasn't gotten back to you yet?
They're not selling that to us, that's through an
Oh,
outside
it's
company.
somebody else.
So, I mean, the good news is the contract price was locked in at $50 cheaper than what we budgeted. The bad news is no ETA on when it's gonna arrive, much like your iPads.
I ordered radio for the truck we bought last year. Still haven't, still haven't.
I'm
So,
happy with
KGI
myself that we got it done that fast.
Michelle, what was the nature of the zoning relief requested for that some there?
I did.
Special exception rule for the use.
Oh,
They did it
it's
TC zoning district, where residential's the only.
It's in a what?
TC, town center, so only use permitted by right is residential. Pretty much everything you see on that side of Penn Avenue is either non-conforming or went to zoning hearing board.
I should have.
Really looking at that, doesn't make any sense at all.
Yes and
37
no, I
minutes.
mean, we could convert it to
37 minutes.
one, but that could potentially open a different Pandora's box.
Wait till we have a
So-
problem. Next thunderstorm, we're gonna have an hour and 30
It's all in the
minutes.
office building.
They're both simple roads,
And
just
commercial,
mill.
and it's just gonna merge